I'll start. What was the number one message to the team today after the loss like yesterday?
It was just that we got to bounce back. Like, we got to be better. Our attention to detail has to be better. We've got to stop waiting for someone else to do it. And we've got to lock in and put first things first and do it.
Steph, we heard the word consistency being thrown around. How you're all kind of trying to find that. I know that's mental as much as it is physical. How do you coach something like that, though? Yeah,
I think you got to teach. We talk about how we do anything is how we do everything, right? We've got to teach consistency in our habits. We have not had any consistency. Yesterday was the first time that we've had all of our roster, so we haven't had any consistency there. We haven't had everybody on the floor in a practice in a long time. And so I think we just have to take, micro steps into building that. It can't just be talking about it, though. We've got to build it on the floor. We can't have regression and going back to reteaching things that we've been doing since training camp. There's got to be an accountability there. And then I think we have to build more continuity on both ends of the floor. And I think you've seen it in spells. But again, now we reintegrate C, we reintegrate DD, and we've got to be able to continue to build that continuity on both ends of the floor.
What's that balance of trying to build continuity, but also realizing, I think Sophie said it, like, we don't have like a bunch of games. Like,
yeah.
We do have to have that sense of urgency.
Yeah, there has to be a sense of urgency, but you also, it's not something that happens just because we want it to, right? It's got to be organic. It's got to be something that is built in practice when we're going through offense, when we're going through defense. Just because you say you want it doesn't mean that it happens. And I think you started to see that through some of our games where it's, okay, now we knew exactly where our teammate was going to be. We knew exactly that they had our back. We were able to play with multiple levels of intentional effort. And now when you reintegrate more players back into the lineup, it's trying to figure that out again. And there's no substitute for that other than reps together.
Sophie used the word pissed off to describe how the team felt. Would you say that was accurate after yesterday? And is that something that can kind of galvanize, or is it important not to let the emotions get too heightened?
Yeah, certainly you don't want to get too high or too low, but I think, pissed off, sense of urgency, back against the wall. I think that there has to be a level of desperation in how we play. And I don't mean desperate like panic. I mean desperate like you don't have a margin for error. Right, this league is too good. Players are too good. It's as deep as it's ever been. There's not a lot of margin for error. So a sense of urgency and desperation in how we go about doing the things that we do has to be there.
Going up against Atlanta, it's not an easy matchup. So is that even more important, or what kind of things, kind of more basketball specific, or have you worked on to go into that game tomorrow? Yeah, it is, and I think for us, handling their size on the interior, making their catches difficult, not allowing opponents to play to their strength, and as coaches and our scouts, like, we're willing to live with certain actions, and we're willing to live with certain shots within offense. So we've got to take away like their top priority, and then we've got to be willing to live with, these are great players. We got to be willing to live with some things, and then we got to finish plays. And so for us, yes, there's going to be certain actions that we want to take away. There's going to be certain places on the floor that we are willing to allow them to catch the ball, and we've got to be really elite in that execution.
A couple of all-star questions for you as we look ahead for a special. How cool is it to have Indy just embrace the W and have it be invading next weekend?
No, it's exciting. Certainly, we put on a show like nobody else. I saw it in NBA All-Star as well, but it's just an exciting time for our city, for our state, and really fortunate to be able to have the best players in the world to be able to showcase their talent.
With Tamika specifically, how nice is it to see the city really rally around her and honor her throughout the weekend too?
It's incredible. Obviously she's one of the pillars of this franchise, of this organization, and she was the first of many different things that we had here for the Indiana Fever. So I'm thankful that she's getting her flowers.
The crowd yesterday was packed with little Indiana Fever fans. How do you help players navigate engaging with a very popular, with fandom while also trying to get ready for actual play?
I don't know if that's something that we have to pre-produce, so to speak. I think it's really organic for our players. A lot of our players were those little girls in the stands, right? They did watch the W. I think we no longer have anybody on rosters that didn't see the WNBA. And so I think they know how important it is to be able to interact with your role models and your heroes. And they take great pride in that. I think that's one of the great things about our league. It has been from day one. We are very boots on the ground, integrated into community, and understand that if you see her, you can be her, and we take great pride in that.
How do you feel just personally when you look up at the crowd to see that level of fandom?
I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. Again, like I've been in this state most of my life, as an athlete and as a coach, and to see the growth for our franchise specifically, it's incredible. And once the ball tips, it's a game again, and I don't really hear anything. But it shows how far this league has come, how far this franchise has come. But a lot of these young women are used to playing in sold out arenas in college. Like they're used to that. It's not something new to them.
It's a bit corny, but they say basketball is different here, and I believe it because I've covered high school sports and all that here. We got an airport court over at the airport. They, Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, all the big gyms. Like, how do you think that this will just add to maybe just the history of basketball in this state, having the first WNBA All-Star Weekend here?
I think it just shows how important this sport is in the state of Indiana. We whether you play it or not, you live it in this state. It's you follow it in the colleges, you follow it in the high schools, you follow it in the professional ranks. We take great pride in being Hoosiers and being basketball junkies, and so I think it's just another opportunity for us to showcase that.